Morning, everyone. Morning, everyone. Let me welcome you to Maison African Motives, whereby we are going to do preparation and revision on Business Studies Grade 12, Term 1. So we are going to do preparation and revision of the question paper, which was written on March 2025. So this paper was written in KwaZulu-Natal province. So that is that. So this paper is all the total marks. In fact, total marks of this question paper is 100 marks. And you are to take 1 and 30 minutes to write this paper. That is that. So let us quickly go to the information and instructions. So here we are on instructions and information. As it says, read the following instructions carefully before answering the questions. The instruction number 1 says, this question paper consists of 3 sections, which is section A, section B, and section C. And section A is compulsory, while section B consists of 3 questions. And you are to answer any 2 of the 3 questions in the section. But we are going to attend to all of those questions so that we know very well that we are going to be well prepared to sit for March test. Section C, which we are going to do it later, it consists of 2 questions, and we are to answer 1 question of the 2 questions in this section. So, like I've said, we are going to answer all the questions on this question paper. So, section C, we are going to do it in the next presentation. Now, let us come to instruction number 2. Instruction number 2 says, read the instruction for each question carefully and take particular note of what is required. Very important. Note that only first 2 questions in section B and the first question in section C will be marked. So that this is well very important that you answer only 2 questions in section B and 1 questions in section C. While we know section A is compulsory, you answer it or you attend to it, all of it. Let us come to instruction number 3. Number answers correctly according to the number system used in this question paper. No marks will be awarded for answers that are numbered incorrectly. So make sure that your numbering is very correct. Instruction number 4, except where other instructions are given, answers must be in full sentences. Instruction number 5, use mark allocation and nature of each question to determine the length and the breadth of an answer. Now we are to attend to instruction number 6. Instruction number 6, use the table below as a guide for mark and time allocation when answering each question. So you just go through that table. So now we are on instruction number 7. Begin the answer to each question on a new page. For example, question 1 on a new page. Instruction number 8, you may use non-programmable calculator. And lastly, write neatly and legibly. So go through those instructions. They are very important so as to avoid mistakes or errors while you are answering the question paper. So let us go to question 1, section A, the compulsory section that we have had on our instructions. So question 1.1. Various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only letter AD next to the question number 1.1.2, 1.1.5 in the answer. Example 1.1.6D. So 1.1.1 says the dash provide accreditation for skills development facilitators. So we are given four options. Then we have to choose the correct answer as we are given learnership, human resource development strategy, penalties, as well as setters. So we want the correct answer, and the correct answer is D. The correct answer is D. As we know that setters stand for Sector Education and Training Authorities. So that is an organization in South Africa which oversees skills development and training in a specific sector. We can talk of IT sector, we can talk of tourism sector, food and beverage sector. Those are sectors. So the sector, they oversee skills development and training in a specific sectors. So that is that. Now we are moving on. 1.1.2. Main services identify vacancies and attract suitable candidates. So we are given four options whereby we are to come up with what? The correct answer. We are given recruitment, selection, placement, as well as induction. And the correct answer is recruitment. Because we are saying we are identifying vacancies and we are attracting suitable candidates for that vacant position. So that is recruitment. We know very well that recruitment is the process of finding and hiring suitable candidates for job openings. So hope we are together. So now let us move on grade 12s to 1.1.3. 1.1.3 says using fine print to conceal important information is an example of pricing of goods in rural areas, unfair advertising, taxation or tax evasion, polluting the environment. So it is unfair advertising. It is unfair advertising using a fine print to conceal important information. So the correct answer there is C. So now let us go to 1.1.4. 1.1.4 says Situlele engineers applied brainstorming as a problem-solving technique by inviting a panel of experts to research complaints from customers, describing current situation and design situation, using its suggestions to inspire new ideas, dividing employees into smaller groups. So that is 1.14. So the correct answer is C. The correct answer is C. Using each suggestions to inspire new ideas. Because you're talking about brainstorming. So in brainstorming, you know very well that that is a technique we used when we want to solve a problem, and then we're going to want the ideas from our panel. So the correct answer is C. So now let us move on to 1.15. For the overtime worked on weekend days or on Saturdays, techno printers employees must be compensated as follows. Double the normal rate of pay paid for 10 hours per week, 1.5 times per normal rate of pay, triple the normal rate of pay. So the correct answer is C, 1.5 times the normal rate of pay. So that is that. So now let us move on to 1.2. Let us move on to 1.2. So here we are on 1.2. 1.2 is a matching question. As it says, choose the description from column B that matches the term in column A. Write only letter A to J next to the question number, 1.31 to 1.35 in the answer book. For example, 1.35J. So we have column A as well as column B. So column B is what is the description, while list column A, those are the terms. So that is where we have to choose the description that matches the term in column A. So let us start matching. Let us do our matching now. 1.21 talks about National Skills Development Strategy. National Skills Development Strategy. Firstly, what is National Skills Development Strategy? A National Skills Development Strategy is a plan to improve workforce skills For example, South Africans, NSDS focusing on employability. So that is a plan to improve workforce skills. So let us see the description that is going to mesh with NSDS. So as you can see, C meshes with NSDS. Here is C. Increase access to program that train people. That is that. Because the definition I give is that National Skill Development Strategy is a plan to improve workforce. That is that. So training programs that are targeting unemployed youth in technology, for example. So it's all about what? Planning of coming up with a training. So as it says, increase access to programs that train people. So it means this measures national skills development strategy. So we are saying the correct answer there. C. So hope you get on that. C is correct. So now coming to job description, 1.22, job description. We know very well that job description is a document outlining role, responsibility, and requirements. So that is that. So job description is a document outlining role, responsibility, and requirements. For example, a marketing manager job and specify digital skills needed in that marketing management job. So that is that. So now we are to look at the description that measures that term, 1.21, that is a written description of job and its requirements or type of the job, that is A. So we are saying here the correct answer is A. Hope we are together. Now we are coming to 1.23. So with 1.23, guys, this question is being removed. This question is removed because there is no description that matches it. So this one, remember, is removed. So let us move on to 1.24, Delphi technique. So Delphi technique, good people, A is what? It's a forecasting method using what? Experts' opinions. So where we have a problem and want to solve it and we don't have previous data, we don't have experience, we are going to make use of what? We are going to go for this method, Delphi technique. We are going to invite what? The expert. We are going to invite what? The expert. That we need to use of what? Delphi technique. This is where we want the opinions of the experienced people. So that is why we are to go for the expert opinions. So we want to know the description that measures what? Delphi technique 1.24. So we can see now the correct answer is E. Summarize the response from the experts in a feedback report. So the correct answer is E. Now we have Labor Relations Act, which we know very well that is a South African law governing employer-employee relationship. So, for example, dispute resolution, so that is that. So, we want to know the description that is going to match what? Labor Relation Act, which is 1.25, and the correct answer there is F. F. F is a correct answer. Promotes collective bargaining at the workplace. We know labor relation promotes collective bargaining at the workplace. So the correct answer there is F. So that's all with 1.2. So let us move on to section B. Let us go to section B. So here we are on section B. So section B says answer any two questions from this section. Answer any two questions from this section. But like I've said, we are going to attend to all of these questions. So it further on says clearly indicate the question number of each question that you chose. So now we are on question 2, business environments. 2.1, name two types of leave stipulated in the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, BCEA of 1997, Act 75 of 1997. So now let us quickly go to our answers. Section B, question 2, business environments. Types of leave according to basic conditions of employment. So here are the types of leave. We have annual leave. We have annual leave. And you know very well, when we talk of annual leave, we are talking about paid leave employees get for rest after working a full year. For example, an employee takes 15 working days off in December. That is annual leave. Now coming to sick leave. A sick leave is a paid leave when an employee is ill or injured. So get it straight. Because you know very well, a worker stays home for flu and submits a medical certificate. That's an example that you can give to make it clear. Maternity leave or adoption leave. Maternity leave or adoption leave. That is a leave that is granted when an employee gives birth or adopts a child. So a mother takes 4 months maternity leave. That is that. Parental or paternity leave. So with parental or paternity leave, that is a leave for fathers or partners after the birth of a child. So that is that. Family responsibility leave. This is a short leave for urgent family matters. So I think you all understand these types of leaves. So now we are to move on to 2.2. 2.2 says outline ways in which business can comply with the Compensation for Occupational Injuries and Disease Act, COIDA of 1997, Act 61 of 1997. So that is that. So now let us answer this question. Ways in which business can comply with COIDA. Ways in which business can comply with the COIDA. So that is that. So here we are on that. So it says business should provide health, safe working environment. So meaning to say employers must protect employees from hazards. That's what it means. It means that employers must protect employees from hazards. From hazards. So that is that. For example, when they provide protective gloves in a factory, so that is a safety that you're talking about. So now let us move on to another point. Ensure that the premises, equipment, machinery is in good condition. So you have to ensure premises, equipment, machineries are in good working conditions. So it means machinery must be safe to use. That is that. Machinery, we are saying machinery must be safe to use. Machinery must be safe to use. So that is that. Now it further on to say, register with the compensation commissioner and provide the particulars of the business. So what it means that business must be registered for employee injury claims. Business must be registered for employee injury claims. Report all incidents causing death or injury or illness of employees. So here you are to report workplace injuries or illness. So what it means that all work-related injuries must be reported. Get it straight, good people. We are saying all work-related All work-related injuries must be reported. Injuries must be reported. So that is that. Levies must be paid to the compensation fund. Levies must be paid to the compensation fund. So we're talking about pay levies to the compensation fund. So it means that employers must fund employee compensation. Employers must fund employee compensation. For example, paying annual COIDA contributions. That is how you are going to fund employee compensation. That is when you pay the COIDA contribution. So let us move on. Keep records of employees' income and details of work for 4 years. So you keep employee records for 4 years. Records help verify claims. So the records are going to help us to verify what? The claims. So that is that. Submit returns of earnings by no later than 1 March annually. So you were talking about where you submit annual returns. So it means employers report earnings yearly. So you report earnings every year. Allow regular assessment of the workplace by inspectors in order to determine the level of risk their employees are exposed to. So you allow workplace inspections. So it simply says inspectors assess safety risks. So, for example, labor inspectors check factory conditions. That is that. Employers may not make deductions for COIDA from employees' remuneration packages. That is that. No deductions from employees' salaries. COIDA costs are employers' responsibility. So the COIDA costs are employers' responsibility. So in short, no reductions from employee salaries. That is only the responsibility of employers. It doesn't involve employees. Get it straight? Business must ensure that claims are lodged within 12 months of the date of the uh, accident. Accident. So claims are lodged within 12 months. So claim must be submitted on time. That is that. So any other relevant answer related to ways in which business can comply with COIDA is accepted. So now let us move on to 2.31. 2.31. But before we get there, we are going to read a scenario on 2.3. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. BBBEE Technology. BBBEE Technology manufactures advanced mining equipment but has recently appointed black people in managerial position. So they are also planning to sell some of shares to black employees people. So the question now says, identify the act that is applicable to this BBBEE technology. This BBBEE technology. So the identification of act is what? Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act, BBEE, because of the inclusion of the black people in positions. Because we can see BT has appointed black people in managerial positions. Also, they can sell shares to black employees. So that shows that this is what? BBBEE. So that is the act that is applicable. So 2.32 explain the impact of the act identified above on a business. Remember, we have identified what? Black Economic Empowerment Act. So now we are to talk about the impact of that act. We are to talk about the impact of broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Act, BBBEE, triple B double E. So we are first going to talk about the advantages or positives of this act. Advantages or positives of this act. So that is that. So the advantages of this act says encourage business to address the demands for redress or equity directly. So it encourages redress and equity. So meaning it promotes fairness from the past inequalities. It simply says it promotes fairness from past inequalities. From past inequalities. So that is that. Then it says provides a variety of business codes to improve employment equity. So now we are talking about improves employment equity. It improves employment equity as it encourages diverse workplace because it encourages diverse workplace. So that is that. It further on says it provides for human resource development through training and development. So it means now it develops skills. It develops skills as it promotes training and development. As it promotes training and development. Also, a good BEE rating improves the image of the business. It improves the image of the business. So good BEE ratings boost the reputation. That is what it means. Fronting is discouraged as it may lead to the disqualification of a business entire scorecard or triple B double EE status. So it discourages what fronting. So prevents false compliance. That's what it means. Prevents false compliance. Promotes enterprise development by developing entrepreneurial skills of designated people to start their own business, to start their own business. So, meaning to say, it promotes entrepreneurship. It promotes what? Entrepreneurship. Promotes entrepreneurship. It promotes entrepreneurship because it helps people start their own business. So for example, funding black-owned small, medium enterprises. So that way it promotes entrepreneurship. Business that comply with triple B, double E regarding the pillars will be rated high on the BEE scorecard and may get government data, then tenders and may attract other BBBEE business partners or suppliers. So that is that. Meaning to say, access to tenders. Here we are talking about what? Access to tenders. Access to tenders. Access to tenders. So I just wanted to say access to tenders. So it means high ratings improve tender. It improves tender for access. It simply say high ratings improve tender chances. So that is that. Business will have a good overview of how it is performing in comparison to other business in the rest of the country. So this simply says improves competitiveness, improves compare, it improves competitiveness, improves competitiveness. So that is that. It means it helps business grow sustainable. So, and that will attract investors. So that is that. So now let us move on to another points. Also, you say by focusing on a BBEE, the business will show commitment towards the social or educational or economic developments in the community or country. Once rated, the business will understand how to develop BBEE strategies that will increase its BBEE ratings on an annual basis. Share prices of BBBEE compliant business are likely to increase as they attract more business. Business that supports small, micro, medium enterprise (SMEs) may increase their BBE ratings. Complying with BB requirements gives business experience exposure to be able to provide employment opportunities and staff development. So that is that. So now we are to move on to the negatives. We are to move on to the negatives or disadvantages of this act. So here we are on negatives or disadvantage. As it says, business could experience large financial implications, penalties, if they don't comply with BBEE, with this act. So here we're talking about financial penalties that the business is going to face. Financial penalties. We're talking about financial penalties. So non-compliance can be costly. That is that. Process may lead to corruption or nepotism if not monitored properly. So we are talking about of what? A risk of corruption. We're talking of risk of corruption. We're talking of risk of corruption. So it means that you're talking of manipulation of processes. So that is that. For example, you can talk of fake ownership deals. So those are the things that we talk about. Processes and procedures may be costly for business as there are many legal requirements for scoring enough points to be compliant. So here we're talking about high compliance cost. Here we're talking about high compliance costs. We're talking about high compliance cost. So legal and admin expenses that the business have to do. So they are to incur those expenses. And that is a disadvantage to a business. Investment or ownership issues can cause unhappiness amongst existing shareholders or owners. Here we're talking about the ownership conflicts. We are talking about the ownership conflicts. Ownership conflicts. Shareholders may disagree. So that is that. Now let us move on. Provides for preferential procurement. So certain business may be excluded from supplying goods or services. So here we are talking about a supplier exclusion. We're talking about supplier exclusion. Supplier exclusion. Supplier exclusion. As it says, provides for preferential procurement. So certain business may be excluded from supplying goods or service. So that's what I'm saying, supplier exclusion. So it means suppliers may be excluded. For example, low-rated suppliers losing contracts. You see. Business will have to spend money in areas covered by 5BB pillars to obtain a good BBE rating. So that is that. So again, it says business that want to do business with government must have their BBE status assessed annually so that we can see whether they will qualify to do the business with the government. Business have to go through the process of having the BBE compliance measured or verified by an independent BBE verification agency. Many businesses have been disadvantaged due to BB ratings as they may not be able to meet all the scoring. So this is that. And we are to move on to question 2.4. So here we are on 2.4. Discuss the purpose of Skills Development Act, SDA of 1998, Act 45 of 1998. So now we have to discuss the purpose of Skills Development Act, purpose of Skills Development Act. So here we are on purpose of Skills Development Act. Here we are on purpose of Skills Development Act. As it says, develop the skills of people in South Africa in order to improve productivity. So it improves what? Productivity. So we are saying improve. We're talking about improve productivity. Improve productivity. So it means training increases efficiency. So that will improve the productivity. Invest in education and training of South African workforce. So here we're talking about investing in education and training. So workplace learnerships, you see, we talk of workplace learnership. That's that. Improve chances of getting a job for previously disadvantaged people. So it improve employment chances. It improve employment chances. Improve employment chances. So youth skills programs. So if you come up with programs that improve the skills of the youth, that youth will be able to access the job. Encourages workers to participate in learning programs. It means it encourages lifelong learning. By so doing, it encourages lifelong learning. Lifelong learning. It encourages lifelong learning. So it means we are talking of ongoing staff workshops. So that is that. Redress the imbalances of the past through education and training. So it means training disadvantaged employees. So those who were disadvantaged previously, they are to get training so that we give solution or remedy to the imbalances that were there in the past. Encourages business to improve skills of their workers. So improve worker skills. So that is that you can talk of, for example, of technical training courses that can be given. Provide systematic implementation of strategies on a national sector and workplace basis. So that is that. So those are answers for purpose of Skills Development Act. So now let us hear the question for 2.5. 2.5, advise business on actions regarded as non-compliance by Consumer Protection Act, CPA 2008, Act of 68 of 2008. So we are talking of non-compliance with the Consumer Protection Act. That's what you're going to mainly look at. So here we are on actions regarded as non-compliance by a Consumer Protection Act. As it says, denying customers proper information about the product or services. That is, we are trying to say withholding product information, withholding product information, withholding product information. So, for example, not listing side effects of the product. You see? So you are denying the customers a proper information about the product or service. That is that. Treating customers differently based on gender, age, or race. Here we are talking about what? Discrimination. We are talking about discrimination. So that is that. Let us move on. Charging unfair prices for the same goods and services. So unfair pricing, unfair pricing. So with unfair pricing, we're saying we are giving different prices for same service, so that is not allowed. Varying the quality of goods when selling in the different areas. So that is that different quality in areas. So example, inferior goods in rural areas. So you see that is not allowed. So, but in towns or in urban areas, you just take what the quality goods. So that is not prioritizing any consumer group over another when marketing or selling. So that is that. So any other relevant answer related to actions regarded as non-compliance by the act is accepted. So now we are to move on to question 3. So now we are to attend question 3. So let's quickly attend question 3. Let us quickly attend question 3, business operations. Business operations. It says 3.1, state any two sources of internal recruitment. State any two sources of internal recruitment. So let us be on our answers for sources of internal recruitment. So here it talks of internal emails or intranet or websites to staff. So internal emails, you're doing of, for example, job advertised on company intranet. So that is that. Word of mouth or staff meetings. So word of mouth, for example, staff inform colleagues, just like that verbally. Business newsletters, circulars to staff. Newsletters, for example, vacancies announced internally. Internal management or referrals. So when you're doing of referrals, you're doing of manager recommends employee. Notice of boards of the business. So for example, you're doing of job posted in the staff room. Then also internal bulletins, recommendation by current employees of staff, headhunting within the business organizational database. So that is 3.1, and we are to go to 3.2. Outline the reasons for termination of employment contract. So we are to outline reasons for termination of employment contract. So now let us attend to it. Here we are. Reasons for termination of employment contract. Reasons for termination of employment contract. So the first one is the employer may dismiss an employee for valid reasons, such as satisfactory job performance or misconduct. So that is the first reason. So we are talking about what? Misconduct. Misconduct can be what? The reason for the termination of employment contract. For example, theft at work, the misconduct, and then your contract can be terminated for that. Employer may no longer have work for redundant employees or cannot fulfill the contract restructuring. So here we are talking of what? Retrenchment now. Company trying by all means to downsize. Hope you're together. The employer may retrench some of employees due to insolvency or may not be able to pay the employees. So we're talking of insolvency where business cannot pay salaries. Now they cannot afford to pay salaries. So that is why they have to terminate the employment contract of the employees. Employees may decide to leave or resign voluntarily for the better job opportunities. So that's when they go for green pastures now. That's when they go for green pastures. So that is a resignation. Employee leaves for better job. They may resign. Incapacity of an employee to work due to illness or injuries. So due to illness or injuries. So now, for example, you're having a permanent disability. So you are no longer going to be able to work. It can also by mutual agreement between the employer and employee. Mutual agreement. Both parties agree to end the contract. Both parties agree to part ways. The duration of the employment contract expires or come to an end. So sometimes the reason for termination of employment contract can be a contract expired. So that is that. That is when a fixed term contract ends. So that is that. So now let us come to 3.3. 3.3 read as follows. The question 3.3, discuss the role of interviewer during interview. Discuss the role of interviewer during interview. So that is that. So let us move on to 3.3. Role of interviewer during the interview. Role of interviewer during the interview. Allocate the same amount of time to each candidate. Here we are talking about what? Equal time. We are talking about equal time. For example, same interview duration. Same interview duration. So you cannot give the other interviewee 20 minutes and the other one 5 minutes. So that is not okay. Introduce members of the interviewing panel to each candidate or interviewee. Here we are saying introduce the panel. Explain who is present. That is that. Make the interview feel at ease. Make the candidate comfortable. So, for example, friendly greeting. Friendly greeting. Explain the purpose of interview to the panel and the interviewee. So here you explain the purpose at this, that whereby you outline the job role. Record the interview's response for future reference. So record responses. Here you are to record what? Responses. You take notes. You record that by taking notes. Do not misinform or mislead the interviewee. Do not misinform or mislead the interviewee. So that is very important. Avoid discriminatory or controversial types of questions, such as asking a female candidate about family planning or having children. So that avoid those that discrimination. No personal questions are allowed. Provide opportunity for the interviewee to ask questions. So that is very important to give the interviewee a time to ask questions where he or she needs clarity. Close the interview by thanking the interviewee for attending the interview. So you thank what? The interviewee for attending the interview. So that is that. So let us move on to another question. 3.4. Here we are on 3.4. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Then we have a Shabia manufacturer dream. So Shabia Manufacturing produces gas cylinders. Recently, the business has listed the purpose of induction. So you're going to talk about induction. The purpose of induction. So first one is communication of information about the products or service offered by the business. Communication of psychographic tests to be conducted soon on the new employee. Communication of business policies regarding ethical or professional conduct or conditions of employment. So this is the scenario. Sorry, this scenario that is given. Then we are to answer the question. Code two purpose of induction applicable to Shabia manufacturing. So now we are to code two purpose of induction. We are to code two purpose of induction. So here we are 3.4 purpose of induction. Communication of information about the products or services offered by the business. Communication of business policies regarding the ethical conduct condition of employment act. So those are the two purposes of induction. So here they are. We can talk of this. We can talk of this. These are the purpose of induction, because you're going to communicate information about the product and service too offered by the business to these new employees. So they're going to know about the product and service fully. Also, you're going to communicate the psychographic test to be conducted soon on the new employees. So that is that. 3.42, explain the benefits of induction to Shabia manufacturer. So that is that. Purpose of induction, the benefits of induction. Benefits of induction. Benefits of induction. As it says, allows new employees to settle quickly and work effectively. So here we're talking about settles new employees. So orientation program settles new employees. Ensure that new employees understand rules and restrictions in the business. Here we're talking about explain rules. You explain rules, explain rules, explain rules. That is that. You can explain rules by talking of safety briefing. That is okay. And new employees may establish relationship with fellow employees at different levels. Here we're talking about builds relationship. That is that builds relationship. Induction builds relationship. So those are the team introductions. Make employee feel at ease in the workplace, which reduces anxiety as well as insecurity of fear. So it reduces anxiety. So guided workplace talk is very important, and it reduces that anxiety or fear. The results obtained during the induction process provide a base for forecasted training. So meaning it improves what? Productivity. It improves what? Productivity, because of faster job performance. So now let us move on. Also increase the quality, performance, and productivity, which promotes the effective use of working method or resources. So induction, increase quality, performance, and productivity, like we've said, because these employees, they are going to have clear rules and they're going to know what is expected out of them. So that is that. Minimize or decreases the need for ongoing training and development. So by so doing, it reduces the costs that the business was going to incur by doing ongoing training. Employees would be familiar with the organizational structure, such as who are their immediate supervisors as well as low-level managers. So they will know the organizational hierarchy. So they will know who they report to and stuff like that. Opportunities are created for new employees to experience or explore different departments. That is that. New employees will understand their roles and responsibilities concerning safety, regulations, and rules. Also, new employees will know the layout of the buildings, factory, offices, which saves production time. So this will save the production time, because they are not going to ask where are the toilets, where are the offices of the supervisors. So in the induction, it helps on that, because they will know exactly where they go. Learn more about the business so that new employees understand their roles or responsibility to be more efficient. Company policies are communicated regarding conduct and procedure, safety, security, employment, contract, conditions of employment, working hours. Realistic expectations for new employees as well as the business are created. New employees may feel part of the team, resulting in a positive moral motivation. Employees may have better understanding of business policies regarding ethical and professional conduct and procedures. Also, it's going to reduce the staff turnover as new employees have been inducted properly. So that is that. So now we are to go to 3.5. We are to attend to 3.5. Here we are on 3.5. Advise business on the importance of training or skills development in human resource management, HRM. So let us quickly attend to it. So here we are on the importance of training or skills development in HRM, human resource management. So it says the employee who received the necessary training is able to perform in their job. So it means it improves performance. It improves performance. It improves performance. The investment in training that the company makes shows employees that they are valued. So employees feel valued. Employees feel valued. So that is that. For example, company funded courses. So if there is a company that is funding, their company is funding the course, it means that make them to feel valued if they are to improve their skills and knowledge. An effective training program allows employees to strengthen their skills. So increases what? Productivity as well. Oh, an effective training program allows employees to strengthen their skills so they can make sure that they upgrade their skills. Productivity usually increases when the human resource function implements training courses. So that is the increase of productivity. So ongoing training upskills of the workforce encourages creativity. So that is that, and that is all about question 3. So now we are to attend question 4. So we are to attend question 4. So here we are on question 4, business operations. So here we are on business operations. Business operations. As it says, name any 2 aspects that should be included in the employment contract. So we have to answer this question. Aspects that should be included in an employment contract. Aspects that should be included in an employment contract. The first one is personal details of the employee. So we talk of the employee ID information, stuff like that. Details of the business or employer, such as the name and address. So here we're talking about the employer details. That's when you're talking of the company address and stuff like that. Job title or position. So we talk of jobs that are going to be listed. Job description such as duties, responsibilities, and working conditions. So you're talking about the working hours. Job job specifications such as formal qualifications, willingness to travel. Date of employment or commencement of the employment. When are you going to start the work? Place where employee will spend most of his or her working time. Where are you going to work? So that is that. Which department that you're going to which department that you're going to be under. Hours of work such as normal time and offer time should as well be clearly stated. Remuneration such as weekly or monthly pay. So the package, where you're going to be paid weekly, daily, monthly, yearly. Benefits or fringe benefits or perks or allowances. So that is that as well. Leave such as sick, maternity, annual leave, or adoption leave. So that is that. Also, employee deductions such as compulsory or non-compulsory. Duration or period of employment contract. Details of termination, expiry date of an employment contract. Probation period. Signature of both the employer and employee. List of documents that form part of contract such as appointment letter, code of conduct. Disciplinary policy such as rules, disciplinary procedure for unacceptable behavior. So any relevant answer related to the aspect that should be included in the employment contract. 4.2, read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Here we are talking about the Smile Restaurant. The Smile Restaurant is looking for the head chef for its Durban-based restaurant. So the management of a Smile Restaurant used networking skills to attract the most suitable candidate. So 4.1, identify the type of recruitment used by Smile restaurant. So that is that. So that is external recruitment. That is external recruitment. So as you can see that Smile Restaurant used networking skills to attract the most suitable candidate. So it's external. It's not internal recruitment. So he's hiring from external. So discuss the impact of type of recruitment identified in question 4.21. So we are to discuss what external recruitment. So we're first going to start by the impact of this external recruitment. So we are going to start with positives or advantages. So as it says, new candidates bring new talents, ideas, or experience or skills into the business. Here we're talking about new skills. We're talking about new skills. So because you'll be hiring experienced manager, there is a larger pool of candidates to choose from. Larger candidate pool. So that is that. So we have wide choice. Unlike if you were recruiting internally, you're going to be limited to the employees that we have. It may help the business to meet affirmative action and BBBEE targets. So it means BB targets. For example, diverse hiring minimizes unhappiness or conflict amongst current employees who may have applied for the post. So it minimizes unhappiness or conflict that might arise in the business. So recruiting outside, so that will try to minimize the unhappiness of the other employees who may have applied for the post. There is a better chance of getting suitable candidates with the required skills or qualifications, competence, who do not need much training, development, which reduces cost. So costs are going to be reduced if you hire internally, more especially whereby you're going to get experienced employee. So costs are going to be reduced because of there is no much training that is going to be needed. Hope you understand. So now let us see the negative side of this external recruitment, negative side of this method. Negatives or disadvantage. As it says, information on CV or reference may not be reliable. So information on CVs or reference may not be reliable because we know very well applicants may exaggerate skills or referees may give biased information. So that is that. Many suitable applications can slow down the selection process. Many unsuitable applications may slow down the selection process. So too many applications make screening time consuming. That is that. New candidates generally take longer to adjust to a new work environment. So here we're saying new candidates take longer to adjust. So external employees need time to understand company culture and system, unlike the internal ones who already know the culture of the business and business operations. So the external one is going to take a lot of time for them to understand the company's culture and systems. External sources can be expensive, such as recruitment agencies, fees, advertisement in newspapers and magazines. So external sources can be expensive. Advertising and recruitment agencies cost money. The selection process may not be effective and an incompetent candidate may be chosen. So here the selection process may be ineffective. So the wrong candidate may be chosen due to poor interviews. That is that. Recruitment process takes longer and is more expensive as background checks must be conducted. So here it's saying recruitment takes longer and costs more due to background checks. So that is that because external employees need time to understand companies' culture. So in-service training may be needed, which decreases productivity during the time of training. So here we are saying new employees need training. So which is going to reduce productivity temporarily. So that is that. So now let us move on to 4.3. So here we are on 4.3. 4.3 says list any two problem solving steps. List any two problem solving steps. So let's quickly attend to it. 4.3. So here we are on our 4.3. Problem solving steps. As it says, identify problem. You know, when you identify problem, we recognize that we recognize that a problem exists. That a problem exists. We recognize that the problem exists. For example, sales are declining. Now we are to define the problem. So we clearly describe the problem. We clearly describe the problem. We clearly describe the problem. That is that. So, for example, sales drop by 20% in 3 months. You see, now we are describing the problem now. We have identified the problem that the sales are declining. Now we define that problem of the decline of the sales. So they have declined or they have dropped by 20% in 3 months. Identify possible solutions or alternatives to the problem. So you list different ways to solve what? The problem. List different ways. List different ways to solve the problem. To solve the problem. That is that. List different ways to solve the problem. For example, reduce prices or increase advertising. If your sales are declining, that is a problem. Try to reduce the price. If maybe the price is the problem, it's expensive, people cannot afford, so that you increase your sales. Or you advertise so that you make customers or potential clients that you are to be aware of your business. Evaluate now the alternative solutions. Evaluate alternative solutions. Evaluate alternative solutions. So it means compare advantages and disadvantages of each option. So this one we are saying compare advantages, and disadvantages of each option. Of each option. So that is that. Now choose or select the most appropriate alternative. Choose or select the most the most appropriate alternative. So meaning select the best option. Select the best option. Select the best option. So that is that. Also, develop an action plan. Develop an action plan. So here we will plan how the solution will be implemented. You plan how solution will be implemented. How solution will be implemented. Whereby, for example, you set the advertising budget and timelines. Implement the suggested solution action plan. So here, put the plan into action. That's what it means. Monitor the implementation of solution or action plan. Here you track progress of the solution. Evaluate the implemented solution or action plan. Here you assess if the problem is solved. So that is that. So now let us move on to 4.4. So let us move on to 4.4, which says discuss the application of force field analysis as a problem-solving technique. As a problem-solving technique. So let us quickly go to the answers of that question. Here we are on our answers. Application of force field analysis as a problem-solving technique. As it says, describe the current situation or problem and the desired situation. So meaning here, you describe the current as well as desired situation, meaning you identify where the business is, where it wants to be. That is that. For example, low productivity or high productivity. Now list all driving or bronze and restrain or cons forces that will support and resist change. So here you identify forces supporting as well as resisting change. That's what it means. Allocate a score to each force using numerical scale where 1 is weak and 5 is strong. So here you allocate scores to each force. You rate each force from 1 weak to 5 strong. So that is that. For example, staff resistance scored 4. You see, that's the rating that you're talking about. Where are positives and negatives, then decide if there is a project, if the project is viable. So here you compare total driving and restraining forces. Choose the force with the highest score as the solution. So here you focus on the strongest factor. If the project is viable, find ways to increase the forces for change. So increase for change if viable. Increase for change if viable. So it means strengthen driving forces or reduce resistance. So identify priorities and develop an action plan. So here you decide steps to implement the change. So that is that. So now let us go to 4.5, question 4.5. Question 4.5 says, advise business on the ways in which business can create an environment that stimulates or promote creative thinking. So here we are on 4.5. So here we are saying ways in which business can create an environment that stimulates or promote creative thinking. So that is where we are now. As it says, emphasize the importance of creative thinking to ensure that all staff know that management want to hear their ideas. So the emphasis of the importance of creative thinking. Management shows ideas are valued. So we are saying management shows ideas are valued. Shows ideas are valued. Management shows ideas are valued. For example, managers encourage staff to share ideas in a meeting. Make time for brainstorming sessions to generate new ideas, such as regular workshops. Generate more ideas built on another's idea. So here you allow time for brainstorming. Here we are saying you allow time for brainstorming. You allow time for brainstorming. So that means employees get time to generate what? Ideas. That is that. Place suggestion boxes around the workplace and keep communication channels open for new ideas. So you're talking about suggestion boxes and open communication. So employees can share ideas freely. Train staff in innovative techniques or creative problem solving skills and mind mapping or lateral thinking. So training of staff in creative techniques, it means teach skills like mind mapping and lateral thinking. For example, creativity workshops. Encourage job swaps within the organization, studying how other businesses are doing things. So this means employees learn from different departments. So allow that swaps to take place at your workplace. Encourage employees to develop or come up with new or unique ideas, alternative ways of working or doing things. So here you encourage unique ideas and new methods. You encourage unique ideas and new methods. So staff try new ways of doing tasks. That is that. Reward creativity by offering reward schemes to employees or introduce incentives for teams or individuals that came up with creative ideas. So here you reward creativity. What did once here we are saying reward creativity. Reward creativity. Reward creativity. So by doing those incentives motivate innovation. Respond emphatically to all ideas. Never let anyone feel less important. So you respond positively to ideas. Here we are trying to say respond positively to ideas. So that is that. So employees feel respected and confident. Make the working environment conducive to creativity, free from distractions and high noise level. So you create a conducive work environment, workplace that supports creativity. So this is the end of this presentation. Thank you very much for your time, and please share with others, and please, good people, don't forget to hit the subscription button. Thank you.